So I'm very mixed with this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden. On one half, a lot of things happened, some pretty awesome stuff happened. We got some progression, and overall it was like pretty good shit. But then on the other half, the animation and art, and also the tons of Obito kid stuff kind of was like, I was like, there's so much great shit going on, and it's progressing, and we're getting huge foreshadowing and hints of stuff. But then Obito flashbacks, animation, and art. Let's get into it. So clearly they got like a totally different, I don't know if it's studio or some dude came in and did it Sakuga style, meaning he did the entire episode by himself or something, because the art was very simplistic in many areas where it was like there was very little detail on a lot of the character models or the backgrounds. And it was just like, okay, so we have a huge difference in art. Like, anybody can tell the difference between the art of this week's episode and any other episode. It was just really different, the style. And the animation, it wasn't too bad in certain areas. There were areas where it was good. But one of the big things about the art and animation that stood out in this episode that I was just like, oh, God. There was a scene where Obito was yelling, and it looked straight up like the Pain animation scene. You know what I'm talking about, the Looney Tunes Pain shit. And I was like, no, never thought I'd have to relive that animation again. And it just makes it so cartoony and weird looking, and it just doesn't fit in Naruto. It's not necessarily that it's horrible per se. It doesn't fit with Naruto though. It doesn't fit with Shippuden, and especially the serious nature of this. It's kind of like a radical departure, and overall it was just like, no, Scotty. We do start off the episode with some pretty awesome foreshadowing as to Sasuke's character and where he's at right now. Because after they do the combo, Naruto tells Sasuke, all right, now we can try and get the Biju out of there. You know, we can go slowly. And he's like, no, I want to see them all burn. I'm going to change this failing system. So that's clear indication Sasuke's character is not 100% good. If anything, he's more along the lines of, I'd imagine somebody like Danzo, which is weird because he killed the same man that he's ultimately slowly becoming into. If he's on that path of like, kill all the Biju, no one gives a fuck, he's on some militant shit. And even Sakura can see it. Sai can even see that Sakura's bullshitting. So definitely, while Sakura was like, no, we can trust him, you can definitely see that she's hurt that this isn't really the Sasuke that she wanted or that they wanted to come back. And ultimately, he's still different. He's not the same guy. And he never will be the same guy. And then a big portion of the episode was the Kakashi versus Obito stuff. I mean, the fight was good in a sense of like, holy shit, you know, they're going bloody all the way out. I mean, a lot of people would argue that how the fuck Kakashi beat Obito, but in this episode, you kind of find out he kind of threw the fight so he could go over there and trick everyone. So in a way, he didn't really defeat him, which is good that they compacted that all into the episode, because if not, a lot of people would have been going, hey, how did Kakashi beat Obito? That's bullshit. You know, he shouldn't be able to defeat the leader of the Akatsuki. So in that aspect, it's like, okay, at least they explained it in the episode so nobody can have any qualms about it, you know, for weeks and weeks on end. Like in the manga, people were just going absolutely apeshit about how did he defeat him. But the art and animation just, it was hard to like take it serious, and it was hard for me to just look at it and be like, oh yeah, this is Naruto, because it just felt so, this isn't Naruto. Why did they bring this dude in and allow him to do whatever he wanted? There were scenes that kind of looked really glossy and nice, that nice look, but as a whole, it was just like, it's so, such a radical departure from the Naruto Shippuden art and animation. And not to mention, there were a lot of flashbacks to the Kid Obito stuff. And I mean, maybe for me, it's a little bit worse because being a manga reader and then seeing this is kind of like, oh God, Obito is like, I still care for the character in a way, but just the amount of flashbacks and coming back and forth, it plays well to a certain degree, but overall it's like, And then once again, the art and animation, after Obito dips out of there and he's like, haha, I'm going to win the war. You won this battle, but you know, I'm going to win overall. When he returns, I'm like, holy shit, I'm looking at the screen. Is that Hiruzen? Is that Sarutobi? Oh, no, that's Obito. It's like, god damn, why did they allow this guy to do this? But the boss, Madara Uchiha, coming in and he's like, alright, enough is enough. Fuck this shit. And he's about to control Obito. He got the rods in him and everything. And I'm like, Madara for the motherfucking win. He's on some bullshit. But then I was a little bit disappointed because Obito basically had this plan all along and he was like, fuck this shit. And instead of letting him control him, he really wasn't being controlled. He did it himself. So in the end, Obito becomes the 10 Tails Juubi Jinchuuriki. And yeah, huge progression there. A huge shocking moment. Pretty awesome stuff. But for the most part, a lot of this art and animation was just too off. But before that, I will say one of the most powerful moments of the episode was when Minato finally realized that this was Obito. I'm shocked that this entire time he didn't know that that was Obito until he showed up and he was like, holy shit, that's you, after he stabbed him. So definitely very powerful seeing a student and a master, you know, the sensei having to cut down his own student. And at the same time, it's like, fuck, so you were the person all those years ago? What happened? A huge shocker to Minato. I wish we would have got a little bit more of his perspective on things, because it's like, yeah, that's your student that you thought died, and he's trying to destroy the world now. So overall, with the material that we covered with this week's episode, I will say it was really good material. A lot of it was good. It was just also cluttered with Obito flashback and the art and animation being, I don't know, Willy Wonka, the Chocolate Factory type of shit. And I know that there's going to be some people that say, oh no, it's a different art or whatever. At the end of the day, it just felt too out of place. And it's like, if I'm watching this on a DVD or a Blu-ray and I'm going through the episodes, this is going to stick out like a sore thumb, especially that fucking pain animation scene. Ugh. But with all that being said, taking everything into account, I give this episode a 6.5 out of 10. It still had some very good parts, especially that fucking ending with Obito tricking everyone and becoming the 10-tailed Juubi Jinchuuriki, but oh yeah. Also very disappointing that next week we're gonna start off filler, which I think is going to be a few episodes, the Mecha Naruto filler to tie in with Storm Revolution. So we're going to be taking a break. Hopefully when we return, it'll be back to the normal art and animation at least, because yeah, I don't need to keep reiterating it. You get it. But let me know what you guys think. First of all, what do you think about Sasuke's character at this point? Is he more along the lines of Danzo? Do you feel he's a villain? What are your thoughts on just like him basically saying, I want to see it burn. I'm going to change this world. Also, thoughts on Kakashi versus Obito, the animation for majority of this episode. What do you think about that? And your thoughts on the crazy fucking ending. I love that ending, to be honest with you, where Obito just tricks everyone. It was just like, he kind of proved himself at the end of the day that at the very least he's not no one's bitch. Like Madara thought he was controlling him. No, it's not happening. And your overall thoughts of the episode, but that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, if you could do so as well, that would be awesome for the world. And as always, people, have an awesome day. So I'm very mixed with this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden. On one half, a lot of things happened. Some pretty awesome stuff happened. We got some progression, and overall it was like pretty good shit. But then on the other half, the animation and art, and also the tons of Obito kid stuff kind of was like, I was like, there's so much great shit going on, and it's progressing, and we're getting huge foreshadowing and hints of stuff. But then Obito flashbacks, animation, and art. Let's get into it. So clearly they got like a totally different, I don't know if it's studio or some dude came in and did it Sakuga style, meaning he did the entire episode by himself or something, because the art was very simplistic in many areas where it was like there was very little detail on a lot of the character models or the backgrounds. And it was just like, okay, so we have a huge difference in art. Like, anybody can tell the difference between the art of this week's episode and any other episode. It was just really different, the style. And the animation, it wasn't too bad in certain areas. There were